I conclude with two stories from 2008. Both of these people are clients. Both of these people had plans. One chose to follow the plan. The other one chose to ignore it. And I give these examples because they are the classic don'ts. This is my first one, is exactly what people do. So Victor and Teresa is the first couple. Victor and Teresa, mid-70s, he had accumulated a comfortable amount of money. We had a modest allocation. Probably it was about 50-50, half in stocks and half in bonds. They weren't taking very much money out of it. They had plenty of money to live comfortably. In 2006, he buys another property. He buys another property because it was just so appealing, and he was going to develop this property, sell off a couple of spec houses, and he calls me up and he wants to take a sizable amount of money out of his account, and he needed to increase his distributions because he was going to put some money down and he was going to borrow the rest, and he wanted to make the payments. And I said, Vic, I don't think that this is a good idea. I said, this jeopardizes your future. He said, Rick, I'm not asking you. I've already done it. I want you to do this. Oh, okay, that puts it in perspective. So here he is in 2006 undertaking a real estate development project, which he figured was going to take 12 to 18 months before he had all of his approvals, did the site work and all that stuff. Well, 2006 probably was pretty close to the peak of the real estate market, and as of 2008, he still didn't have all of his approvals. But now the market is going down. We're taking out more, even before the market went down, we're taking out more than what is a safe withdrawal rate. And I told him at that time, everything has to go right in order for this to work. We can't have any down markets. So as the market starts to go down in September and October, he's calling me. Rick, what do you think we should do? Do you think we should get out? You know, because I don't think these clowns in the government know what they're doing, and do you think we should get out? And I said, Vic, we do not sell stocks when they go down. You stick with the strategy. You stand firm, because people are panicking, they do stupid things, and we don't want to sell out. Yeah, but what if it goes down further? Yeah, well, what if it goes down further? Eventually it's going to come back, and I had this conversation 100 times with a lot of different people, but you don't ever know when it's at the bottom, and so you ride it out. We stick with the strategy. Third week of November, market dips below 8,000. Vic calls me up and says, just get me out. Not debating with you anymore, sell everything. We sold everything. That day the market was down 400 points, closed at 7,600. The next day, Geithner is mentioned as the new Secretary Treasury. The stock market's up 500 points. Now, I don't get that part either. Obviously what we know about Geithner, but apparently the market liked it on that day. We're back over 8,000. Vic's back on the phone with me. Rick, I made a mistake. Now, before I had sold everything, I said, well, we need to have a strategy to get back in. So if you're selling out everything, what's the strategy? And the strategy that we agreed on was we're going to put a third of it into a one-year treasury or one-year CD, a third of it in a 6-month, and a third of it we were going to keep in cash, and we were going to reevaluate our position in January. That was our strategy. He said, did you implement that strategy yet? And I said, no, I'm still waiting for everything to settle. And he says, I want you to put it back in. All of it. Yeah, I made a mistake. I'm sorry. I should have listened to you. Put it all back in. Oh, geez, thanks. Now the market's up 500 points from where we sold it, and I can just imagine how this review is going to go when we sit down. Why is it? So I started investing the money. 2 days later, he's on the phone again. Did you invest all that money? No, I got about half of it invested, and I'm going to invest the next half, over the next couple of days. And he said, good. I want you to take that half and put it all in Citigroup. I said, you've got to be kidding me. And he said, no. He said, that stock was 50. It's down to $6. You got to buy it. This is how people make mistakes. First of all, he should have never sold out, and now he realizes it. And so how do we make up for this big goof? We get very aggressive. Thank you. We get very aggressive. And so he buys Citigroup. Well, I talked him out of putting half of it into that. We got him down to 20% of the account value. I couldn't get him below that. We bought the stock at $5.94. Where is it today? It went down to like 80 cents. My next example, poor Vic. The next example is Tom and Karen. Tom and Karen, bless their hearts, early 50s, worked in his father's business that they owned, that the brothers and the father and one of the sisters was involved in this business, and they sold the business. I think in 2007 is when they entered into the agreement, and of course businesses take a long time to get everything resolved, and they got their money in the spring of 2008, $1.5 million in cash. Now, they had done some investing. They had a 401k, or he had a 401k that had a couple $100,000, but this was a huge sum of money to people that never had money like that. And so, what are we going to do with it? So we worked out a plan, and didn't want to retire. He was going to go work for a charity in a paid position. That was what his goal was, work in a charity paid position. He was going to need some money out of the account each month to supplement because he wasn't going to be able to make what he had been. And that probably in 15 years was when we were going to retire. Well, that gave me a whole lot of leeway with what to do with the money, but since they had never invested before, and I'm nervous about people that never invested, we decided that we would take and put half of it into fixed income and half of it into growth. And so 50-50 was going to be our allocation. Now, how these strategies work, just in case you don't know, is that in order to maintain this balance of 50-50, as stocks go up in value, we become overweighted. And we take those opportunities to harvest off the amount that we're overweighted in, and we buy fixed income. It forces us to sell high, which is how we want to invest the money. We don't want to be sitting here saying, well, what's the market going to do, and make our decisions based on that, because you're always going to be wrong. Well, not always. Maybe once in a while you'll be right. You'll be right just enough to think that you could do it all the time, and then you would really be wrong. So we want to maintain this balance, and we want to let the market dictate when we rebalance by pushing stocks up to more than 50% so that we can harvest them off. And in contrast, in those rare moments when the market goes down, which is about every 4th year, we will be overweighted now in bonds. And so the bonds, the stocks will shrink, we will be overweighted in bonds, and we harvest off the extra money that we have in bonds, and we use it to buy stocks, which we are buying low. Buy low, sell high. That's how the strategy works. Not based on guesses, not based on what we think the economy is going to do, based on how the account performs. So they're 50-50. First review is in November. Wow. Okay, we didn't think we could lose that much money in such a short period of time. And I said, I know. I said, the market is behaving very poorly, and what do you think we should do? Should we get out? Absolutely not. We're going to maintain our 50-50. What we need to do is sell some of our bonds and buy stocks. A little bit of uncomfort, but they went ahead and did that. Good for them. This was in November. 3 months later, we're doing our next review. It's February. It's even uglier. Wow, Mr. Financial Consultant. That strategy didn't work. Actually, that strategy will work. We just need to give it time. Look, we have a 15-year plan. Our plan is to maintain 50-50. We have just been given a gift of being able to rebalance, to sell some of our bonds, to buy stocks at low. That is absolutely what you should do. And God bless them, they did it. And they went and rebalanced. It was uncomfortable, but they stuck to the strategy. And now, as we look at the account, they're only off about 12% from what we started with. Now, of course, their money came in not at the peak in October of 2007, but by rebalancing now, we're very close. We're within 12% of getting back to what they started with. And if the market continues to cooperate over the next year, we can recover all of this in less than 2 years, when 6 months ago people were saying it would never recover. As contrast with Vic and Teresa, geez, I don't know what's going to happen with Citigroup. But Vic was sure that the government would never let them go down. They're not going to let them go under. So maybe Citigroup recovers, but they're a long way off. Get your strategy. Start with your plan. Put a strategy in place and implement the strategy. We want you to plan smart so you can retire well. Thank you very much for your attention.